Hi, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That is Dan. And today we welcome to the studio country superstar Riley Green.
Yo.
How y'all doing, man?
We're, honestly, man, we're doing, you know?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. How are you?
Good, man. Just crazy busy right now. People always ask when the tour ends, and it doesn't really end. You know, we kind of slow down around Thanksgiving and kind of have December, January, hang out with the family and visit, and then we're right back on the road again. It's been a busy year.
Yeah, your output, the creative output's crazy. Like, even this deluxe record, right? You're putting out a deluxe record, and that's on top of the 18 songs that already exist.
Yeah, it's such a crazy time for music because it's more, really is more in a lot of ways, and fans can get music from so many different avenues now. When I was growing up, we were downloading and burning CDs, so it's very different now how much music you can put out. And for me, when things are going well, I write all my songs. I'm so motivated to write. When things are working, you want to go write and stay in that mindset and try to figure out what you're doing right. So instead of putting out another album this year, we decided to make it a deluxe and kind of keep shining light on Don't Mind If I Do, because that album's been doing so well. And Don't Mind If I Do is actually a single at country radio now, so we're still, running off of the momentum from that album.
So it's 5 on top of 18.
Yeah.
That's 23 songs altogether.
Yeah.
Is there a song from this batch that resonates the strongest with you?
Well, I really love, there's a song called Jesus Saves that was on the original album, and it's about a guy on the side of the road in Nashville, Tennessee, a homeless guy, and it tells his story. He's a U.S. Army veteran and kind of goes through all these things that could happen in his life that put him in that situation. I thought the message of that was really good. It was just that, you don't really know what somebody's been through, and you're always quick to judge when you see somebody in that situation, like they're on drugs or they're alcoholic or whatever. And I tried to think of things that maybe if they happened to you, you might be in that same situation, everyday problems. And it's been one that wasn't a single, wasn't a focus track of any kind. It's just a song that really raises hand. Fans really relate to it. And I hear more stories about that one than any of them.
How do you stumble upon this veteran? How do you find his story?
Well, it's made up. That's the thing. I struggle with, people hear it and they go, man, that had to have happened to you. And in a weird way, it's just me pulling up in Nashville, Tennessee, and I saw this guy and he had a piece of cardboard and said Jesus Saves on it. And I thought, man, how tough would it be to try to win somebody over from just what you can fit on a little piece of cardboard, telling your whole life story, so to speak, to make somebody feel compassion. And I just kind of went on that journey and told the story, but it's not a true story in the sense of I didn't meet the guy. I just kind of creatively inspired me to think about what might be his story.
Do you write with, I'm assuming you write with a guitar, or do you write with nothing?
Yeah, I write with the guitar. I've struggled. A lot of people write with what they call a track guy, and they'll kind of put a beat together. And I've really struggled with that. I can't remember who it was, but the first time I sat down in a room with what they call a track guy, I kind of had to say, man, can you turn that off till we get done with the song and then make a demo from it, But yeah, usually I have to have a guitar there with me.
You've said that, like, the appeal of country music is storytelling. Obviously, you're telling 23 individual stories, but is there a story you're telling overall with this album? Or batch of songs or era, whatever?
Somewhat. I think that as far as the theme goes for the album, I think it's more of a musical theme. I think it's kind of how we went about recording in the studio. Something I did different this time that I haven't done before. Dan Huff's produced my records, and he's, legendary guitar player. Yeah. And he's kind of done everybody. He's literally done it all. And what I struggled with on our first album, which was a great album, but you get songs demoed in town, and what happens is you have the same musicians demo for everybody, and it sounds great. And then you go in the studio, and the studio musicians hear that demo, and they go, oh, and they probably play that same guitar lick or whatever, and you get this thing where everything kind of sounds the same. So what I did this time was I didn't demo anything. I went in with a guitar and a vocal, me recorded on my phone, and we started truly from the ground up and recorded the songs, which for me gives you a lot more creative space in the studio that day, but also let somebody like Dan really work and all these great musicians really kind of figure out lyrically what is the song, because when you do a demo session, you don't really dive into it that much. But when you've had time to live with it in a really raw place like that, where it's just a guitar, you can kind of build it slowly and let it kind of develop into what you think it needs to be.
Is it true that you were originally reluctant on telling people that you were singing and writing music?
Definitely singing. I never like to hear my voice. I probably won't listen to this because I can't stand to hear myself talk either. But my granddaddy Buford was a big country music lover. Granddad Lyndon fished and golfed and hunted. That's what we did when we were together. My granddad Buford loved country music, and he had old Epiphone guitar at his house. When I'd go over there, we'd sit around and kind of, neither one of us played. We kind of try to figure out these old songs, and he started calling up his buddies and guys that he knew that played the banjo or the mandolin and whatever, and we started meeting up every Friday on the front porch of my great-grandparents' house, which the floors were falling in on. And that went on for, a few months. People started to come watch, and we turned it into a music hall, a little miniature Grand Ole Opry. He painted a big saw blade gold and hung it on the front, called it the Golden Saw Music Hall. And it went on for about 13 years. Every Friday, they'd have anybody that wanted to play, came and played music. The old ladies made snacks. And I would go out there and just sit there and watch how they made chords with their hands, So that was how I learned how to play. And, he'd go, man, I'll give you $15-20 if you get up and sing a song tonight. And because I was a kid, they all cheered whether I was good or not. So I got a little false confidence from that probably. But it took a long time for me to get where I would sing in front of anybody. I never liked my voice, never thought I was very musically talented,
You were doing like 80 to 100 shows a year, and you were still telling people that you did construction work. Is it
Well,
real?
I did. I mean, I built houses and played shows on the weekends for about 10 years.
You built your own house from the ground up.
Yeah. That was what I figured I'd be doing was carpentry work. I mean, I had a little flooring business for a while. I worked for an electrician. I managed a garage door business for a while, but framing houses is what my dad did and what I thought I would do.
But even while you were playing all those shows?
Yeah, I'd work Monday through Friday, and the good thing about doing construction work like that is we had our own framing crew, so if I wanted to take off early on Friday and leave, I could leave. We'd go play. I was driving my truck to shows. I had speakers and a little mixer board and all that, and I'd play, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes on Sunday, drive back, go to work the next week. So I did that until I signed a record deal in 2018.
Well, I was going to ask when you felt like you were successful enough to stop the construction business, but I guess that was kind of the answer.
Well, yeah, there
right
wasn't
there.
a choice when I signed a record deal. It was, it was go on the road to radio tour and go meet all these stations and traveling around. So what was kind of unique about my journey, I guess, was I was already playing so many shows. I already had probably 25 songs recorded that I'd already put out myself, and had a pretty good fan base in the Southeast. I mean, I was all over Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Florida. I'd kind of played everywhere down there, and we were selling a couple thousand tickets down there when labels started coming to shows, so it was a little backwards for me.
That's interesting. So, does that leverage make its way into the deal structure?
Well, definitely, because I knew that I didn't have to have a record deal to make a living playing music. It was growing. It was continuing to get better. I thought I pretty well knew what my fan base was and the type of songs that I was trying to write. My first single was a song called There Was This Girl at Country Radio, but I'd already had it recorded when I met with record labels. So I got to go sit down with a label and go, I'm about to put this out on my own. So I ended up having 4 major labels offer me deals, and I got to kind of play them against each other a little bit and get the deal sweetened a little bit and all that. So it was definitely a lot of leverage for me at the time.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was great. I think it would have been really tough if I would have went to Nashville when I was in my early 20s and tried to make it, because I've got respect for people that did that, because I think what I saw, I went to Nashville and played a writer's round in Tootsie's one time. I was probably 25, and there was 10 people I remember behind me waiting to go, and every one of them was better than me, when I got to hear them. So I think that my lack of vocal ability probably made me a better songwriter, because I thought, I'm not going to blow anybody away with my vocal performance. So when I go to these bars and restaurants that I'm playing in where people are sitting there eating, they're not there to see me. I got to figure out a way to stand out over everybody else. And I started to realize, well, man, this kind of song made this guy sit his beer down, and this line really made that guy look up. And that was kind of how I figured out how to write.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So a lot of it's acquired just from watching people.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that a live show taught me how to write songs. I'd never co-written. There was nobody in my hometown that wrote songs, I got tired of playing the same covers every week. So I started man, I'll write a song that's kind of like this song, this style or whatever. And then, like I said, I would see that somebody really remembered this line, or somebody brought this song up, said, play that one you played last week again, So then I recorded some, and there's still some of them I play today.
Well, I was going to say, so what makes your songwriting unique to you? Because I've heard you say, you like to keep it simple.
And you do, dude.
I think that's what it is. I mean, it's not a really pretty word to describe your songwriting, but I think that's really accurate. I think sometimes people can the word in town is get too songwriter. They say you try to get too pretty and get too clever. And, the storytelling to me, I listen back to like Merle Haggard and George Jones and all that, and there's not a lot of complicated stuff in there. I mean, they're just telling a story, and that's what I always did early on. So now I think that when I'm in a writer's room and I'm with a couple other guys, I'm kind of stingy about that. I go, well, this is how I would say it, or this is how that old guy sitting at the Chevron right there down the road from my farm would say it in the morning when my granddaddies were playing dominoes and smoking cigarettes. So I try to keep things in that place and try to write from that place that really started me out and gave me some success.
Do you feel like country music does that as a whole in terms of keeping true to just in terms of the vernacular and
in a way,
the conversational roots?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that there's some, I don't know what you would call it, there's some cash grabs in any genre where it's like, hey man, we know this kind of things work. Let's go try to do that. Or this type of artist that dresses like this and does that, and let's go do that thing. I feel like musically it's always going to change. Stylistically, there's room for every kind of genre in country music to come in and come out, but the lyrical journey of the lyrics really meaning something and telling a story, I think for me has always helped my career, because if I write my own songs, I'm tied to it in some way, shape, or form. Whether it really happened or I just thought of it, there's a lot of stuff that's true to me because I wrote it. And when you don't write a song, you have to find a way for that song to really mean something to you, because I think fans can tell. I think the authenticity is something to where if you're telling a story that's real to you, they know pretty quickly.
That being said, if it wasn't for trucks, you love your truck?
Man, I can tell you when I wrote that song, I jokingly would say at shows, one thing that upset me when I signed a record deal is nobody ever written a song about a truck before. So I thought I'd try something different. And I would say that before I played the song.
Well, and then we get an EP.
When I was walking outside every day, the first thing I would think about was my truck. I would go get a brand new burnt CD with Tim McGraw and Tupac and all the songs on it. I'd be so excited to wash my truck and go, and because I always had a truck that I couldn't afford. When I didn't have enough money to have a nice truck, I had a nice truck.
So real.
And growing up in Alabama, I mean, that's how you knew who somebody was. People would see your truck coming down the road and they'd already have their hand out the window, It's probably not like that as much in big cities, because most people don't want to drive anywhere because you can't park, and you certainly can't park a big truck in a parking deck.
But my boyfriend would make the case that your car does define you to a certain degree.
Extent, yeah. But like I said, in a small town, more people are driving around, and it's really, they know you by your truck. And they know if you're at this restaurant or whatever, wherever it's parked out on the square. And like I said, I was more proud of my truck than probably anything. Maybe my dog was right there with it, my duck hunting dog. So yeah, that's a very true song to me. And lyrically in that song, it talks about where would I have done these things if I didn't have my truck. And one of them was, where was I've cried that July day granddaddy died. And I was thinking, man, growing up was taught not to cry. You had to be tough. And truck was kind of that place, where would you have got your first kiss, got the nerve to kiss the green-eyed girl. All these things that happened to me for the first time in my life were in that truck. So it was a very true song to me. Now, there's a lot of truck songs that are, I got my boots on and got my truck clean, but not to take away, maybe that stuff happened too, but it was certainly a true thing for me.
It is true that our car, your truck, it houses so many memories and core moments, and it's such a personal space.
There's a smell when I would get in my grandparents' car that it takes me back to when I was a kid. They had a little truck that the seat in the back sat facing sideways,
Oh yeah.
And I just there's so much that's happened to me in my life that took place in that vehicle. So yeah, it's pretty nostalgic to think about.
What kind of truck you have?
I got all kind of cars now.
You're rich.
Well, I'm not rich. I just I'm certainly better off than I was.
Yeah.
But vehicle wise, I'm a wheeler and dealer, man. I get on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist.
Really?
And when I'm traveling, you can find deals if you travel all the time. So
brother,
when I'm in a certain town, I'll find something, and if I think it's a deal, I'll buy it and ship it home.
Oh, you're crazy.
Work on it a little bit. I've probably got 13 to 15 vehicles in a barn at my house, and
do they all run?
Well, sometimes, yeah. I mean, yeah. Not the first time you try to crank them, but you jump them off. Yeah. I bought a 1988 Chrysler LeBaron. My first major tour I went on was with Brad Paisley. I was first of 3, and I went and bought this LeBaron. Have you ever seen a Chrysler LeBaron?
No. Can you show me a photo?
You want to look at it. It's the ugliest car ever. It's convertible.
Oh yeah, I remember
wood panel siding on it.
I remember seeing these back in the day.
Oh.
I've got 2 of those now.
Wow.
But I paid $3,000 for that car. And I remember driving it back to the venue, and all my buddies were like, man, this is a waste of money. It's a piece of junk. You could see the tire through the hole of rust in the floorboard. Like if the roads were wet and you turned, your leg got wet from water flying through the hole. But I think a Kid Rock song came on or something. I was riding through these cornfields going back to the venue. I said, this was worth $3,000 just this moment. And it broke down at the venue. We had to push it out of the way to get Brad's buses and trucks out and had to leave it there. And I finally got somebody to haul it to Nashville and got it fixed, and it's still at my house. But yeah, I love buying old vehicles like that.
That's wild.
What is it about a 1988 Chrysler LeBaron that you like? I don't think there's a big market for those.
There's not. Well, it's just different, you know? I always say, like, you can go buy the nicest BMW, G-Wagon, whatever, and the next year there's going to be a newer one.
Yeah,
there's never going to be a newer one of those. That's always going to be the coolest car on the block. And crazy enough, I've had some old, like, early Broncos. I got 3 of them right now. Square body, pickup trucks and all that.
That's
And
cool.
that one right there turns heads more than anything else I drive.
What a cool thing that music affords you.
Yeah, man. I like I said, I was, now it's got to be a deal. I won't just go spend what it's worth. I got to think I'm going to make a little money on it. And I'll buy them and sell them and drive them a little while. And I love that era, those old vehicles. Like, there's something about the smell in them when you crank them up too. You know, that's you don't see them a lot anymore.
Facebook Marketplace is a beautiful thing.
It can be. It can get pretty weird too.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I always wonder about this. Yeah, I guess you.
I
get on
like,
there.
I like buy stuff from there. I sell some. I haven't successfully sold anything, but I've bought.
What do you
many
mean
things.
you mean have you sold something but just didn't make money, or you haven't sold anything at all?
No, I haven't. Like, I've attempted to sell one thing, and then there's just been nobody biting on
Well,
it.
what is it?
Oh, it's a painting.
It's probably overpriced.
Is it
Isn't it?
overpriced? I'll
No.
buy it from you.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I got to look at it first and see what it costs.
Oh, you want to give him some details?
I mean, yeah, it's a Mr. Brainwash painting. It's very nice.
Send me the link. I'll check it out. I'll be your first sale on there.
Yes. Cash only.
Yeah. Okay. Great. You better catch me before I get out of town. If you ever wonder about this, may just be me, but you ever seen people selling mirrors on there?
Yeah.
Well, I always wonder about, like, sometimes they're like what they do in the mirror. You know, like when they're taking the pictures, a weird thing.
Oh,
Like they're doing like a weird stance or something. And I just wondered if there was some kind of like underground dating world of people that are like just doing that to show their self to get on Facebook Marketplace. I think that's a thing. Next time you're on there, all you have to do is look at a mirror, type that in one time, and then it'll be all over the place. And I want you to look, because there'll be like people that get dressed up to take a picture of this mirror they're selling for $50, but they really just want you to see
Them.
Yeah.
So
I
they're
think
selling
so.
themselves in
'Cause you
addition
could-
to the mirror. That's a good deal.
I think so.
Are you on
I've
dating
never
apps?
bought a mirror or dated a person that was selling mirrors, so you know.
Are you dating on dating apps?
No.
No,
I mean, there might be a picture of me on one, but it's not really me. Just for everybody out there.
Your thoughts on posing with a fish on a dating app? You know, that's like a big debate on the internet. People,
Really?
Yeah, like people aren't. I mean, from my understanding, they're not too keen on people who take a fish, pose with it, and then post it on to dating apps.
Okay, well, I can't really comprehend the dating app things. I haven't done that, but I've certainly posted a picture with a fish. I guess that maybe the problem with doing it on a dating app is that really the best picture you have of yourself. Like, if you were going to say, this is me to the world, and here's this bass. You know what I mean? It's the best thing about me right here. I don't know. I'd have to see the fish, I guess.
Real Problems. That's a song with Luke Bryan. How does that actually happen? Like, obviously, like, how are you making it? Are you in the studio together, or?
Sometimes you do. I've recorded with other artists in the studio same time, and sometimes it's, you know, when you're busy like we are, you just kind of get it when you can. Luke, there's probably proper channels for getting features and doing duets and stuff like that. I've never used those. I just texted him and said, hey, man, first time we ever hung out, we went bass fishing at his lake down south of town in Nashville, and I thought he'd like that song. I love to play on reel, and it just seemed like it should have been a Brad Paisley song from years ago, you know. And he said, yeah, I love it. So he went and recorded it. He did his vocals on it. I'd already recorded mine, so I got to hear it, and, you know, Luke's that was right up his alley. It was a perfect song for him.
You like fishing?
I do.
What is it about fishing that people enjoy?
Well, it depends on the kind of fishing. I mean, you know, like deep sea fishing, offshore fishing, that's a different thing. You know, that's like a workout. You're sitting there battling the whole time. You can't really hold your arms up after. Bass fishing for me was more like camaraderie. You know, like me and my granddad would go, and it wasn't really about what we caught. We just hang out on the lake all day. What I've loved about hunting and fishing in general is just going places that you wouldn't normally go otherwise. You know, I got really into duck hunting when I was younger and still love it. And it's, you go out into a swamp. I mean, you know, no human has any reason to go out there other than to go out here and try to hide in amongst, and you can see the sun come up through cypress trees in the middle of a flooded timber. It's a pretty cool thing. There's a lot about hunting that I enjoy, especially now, that doesn't have anything to do with killing anything or catching anything. It's just being out there.
Do you release the fish we catch?
Yeah. I mean, unless it's, you know, like a snapper season down in the Gulf, we'll go catch a bunch of snapper and have a big cooking at the house, you know.
Very cool. Yeah, the nature thing. It is a beautiful aesthetic.
I can remember a tour manager of mine. They grew up in Georgia, pretty close to me, and we went over to the head of my label's house in Franklin, Tennessee, and he had about 10 acres. And it's in a neighborhood, gated community, you know, big, giant house. And I was like, we were waiting on him to get there, and I said, man, let's walk out here in the woods and see if there's any, like, deer sign, you know, where they rub trees or whatever. I just feel like there's got to be big deer living in these neighborhoods. And he said, man, I can't remember the last time I walked in the woods. And this dude grew up in like Georgia, right across the state line from me. And I thought, man, how crazy is that? I do it all the time, you know, and it's something that I feel like people don't necessarily take for granted. You just forget about
Totally.
what it feels like to go out. And I mean, I guess you got parks and stuff in the big cities, and that's pretty similar. But, you know, I've got 680 acres down in Northeast Alabama.
Damn.
And that's
Holy
my favorite thing to do is
shit.
just wander around, you know?
680 acres?
Yeah.
The fuck? Is that a city? What do you do on that?
Well, it's different.
The
Our
fuck?
property's not quite expensive as it is out here, you know, back in Northeast Alabama. But, you know, I got some cows out there, some goats and pigs and horses.
You
and
could have a metropolis.
yeah. Well, I call my neighbors every time I go home and ask them if they want to sell anything. I'm trying to get as much as I can. And
Really?
yeah.
680 acres.
Mhm.
So what are you going to do with all of it? Gonna build a cult?
Nah, man. Well, for
I mean,
one,
you
it's nice to it's nice to slip off and hide out down there when I get. It's hard for anybody to find you on 680 acres. You know?
Yeah.
But my dad and his brother framed houses their whole lives, and I've since retired them to work for me on my farm. So they piddle
Sick.
around out there, and I dug a big lake. I got a little golf island green out there, and you know, and it's just a great place to go
That's
get away.
amazing.
I think when you're doing what I'm doing now, especially, it's so tough to find a real disconnect. You know, I can go to Nashville, and if I've got 2 days off, I'm like, well, I need to be writing, or I need to be in the studio, or I need to go to my bar, you know, and meet with somebody. And if I go down there, it's really, I'm removed from everything.
How does it feel going from a small town in Alabama to now like traveling all over the world? Is it weird, or is it just?
It's one of those things, like, it doesn't feel real. You know, I mean, I thought that where I was in Northeast Alabama was the only place like that. And then I've traveled, and I've gotten really fortunate to see that a lot of people grew up the same way all over, you know, and we toured in Canada. We had, we're going to the UK. We've got a bunch of sold out shows in the UK coming up in a couple of weeks. We did Australia last year. First time going to Australia.
Australia loves country.
They really do.
Can you explain that to me?
It's rural. So,
it is.
well, Canada, I thought Canada was as far north as you get, you know, and I think and they don't think there's going to be right because I'm making this quote up, but I think it was like 90% of the population of Canada lives within like 10 miles of the coast. In other words, all the big cities are right there on the coastline, and it's just rural. I mean, there's just so much of Canada that's just nothing. And, you know, that's kind of where I grew up, was just out in the country, you know. So there's a lot of places like that. You think about Illinois, you think about Chicago, but a lot of Illinois is just big, giant farmland.
I can't believe you are on Redneck Island.
Me neither. I struggle to think about that too.
I mean, it was 2 fever dreams because you didn't just commit for 1 season, you committed to 2, right?
Not exactly. So, long story short, I'm not a reality show guy. I would have never thought in a million years I'd be on one. I was playing a gig down at the Floribama, little bar down on the coast, and this guy came up to me after my set and said, man, you'd be perfect for this show. It's called Redneck Island. It's on CMT. Stone Cold Steve Austin's the host. Jesse James Decker, you know, whatever. And I said, man, I thought he was crazy. You know, he gave me his phone number and called me from California the next week. And I remember asking my mom, like, what do you think about this? Because I've never watched a reality show and thought, man, that guy seems smart. They make everybody look so crazy, you know? And so I was really hesitant to do it, but I thought, well, if they mention that I play music, it could help my career, which I didn't see any real big jump from it. I don't know that a lot of people watch the show because
I didn't know it existed until
that's my
today.
point. And that was the last season they ever did was ours, but I was on it. And I got like voted into the elimination thing or whatever and sent home in like the first or second episode on the first one. And it's a little bit of that, like we won the first competition, so then everybody was kind of gunning for us, and it's you and a girl, you're partnered up against everybody else. And anyway, they called me the next year and said, hey, we're doing it again. We want to bring back some of the people from before. So I was like, well, I've already done it now. So I went back and we ended up winning.
Yeah, you won $100,000.
Me and my partner split it. Yeah, so $50,000, which I found out what taxes are pretty quick.
And you're like, oh, I got $18,000.
Yeah, it was great. And the IRS found out I was a person because I think I was probably playing shows, for cash at the Mexican restaurant in town. But
just like that, you were on the grid.
I was on the grid. Yeah, it was great. And I thought I was going to just retire after that. I thought $50,000 was all I'll ever need. But it was probably a helpful experience for me because it taught me a lot about that side of things. I didn't know what went into doing a show like that. I remember we would do exit interviews, they called them, but it's where, and y'all know what it is. You're sitting in front of a screen and you're talking about what's happening in the show. And you're like, oh, and you got to say it in the moment. Like, I'm looking at them like, what? And the lady would ask me all these questions and I'm like, she's like, what were you thinking right here? And I'm like, nothing. But they had this storyline, this like, they would show me staring off into space blankly and it would look like I'm mad, and they would show somebody else and they said something and I might not even have been in the room. So I realized, okay, they got these dramatic storylines they're trying to push. And I realized if I said what they wanted, I could get out of that interview faster. So I started getting good at doing interviews, and I could, what are we trying to paint here? What picture?
I mean, you're a storyteller, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get on their same level,
Is to be called a redneck an insult?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's about like anything else, kind of depends on how you mean it. But there's probably nicer terms. But for me, redneck was just, somebody that grew up, out in the country and what you did for fun was probably not the same as what somebody, I guess you could call a city slicker, would be the opposite of that. I lived in Jacksonville, Alabama, which is a tiny town, and my whole family's from Williams community, Pleasant Valley, which is right outside of Jacksonville, 8 miles, and they would say I was city because we had a Walmart and a Johnson's and a Waffle House, so we were big time,
That's crazy. Way Out Here. That song kind of speaks to that, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Is that the true inspiration for that record? And what are you writing and thinking about?
Okay, well, Way Out Here is a cover. Way Out Here is a Josh Thompson song, yeah. I think it's probably the most me song that I've ever cut that I didn't write. But yeah, I remember Josh Thompson's an amazing songwriter. Had a great record. Can't remember the name of the album, but he had a lot of great songs. That was his single. I don't remember if it was a big hit or not, but I loved that song ever since the first time I heard it. And that's the cool thing about now is, you go and you can go cut some of these songs that you wish you'd written.
Yeah, that's wild. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Very
It definitely
cool.
sounds like me. So,
by the way, Worst Way is 2 times platinum.
isn't that cool?
And you wrote that all by yourself.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Man, it's great. My biggest song is I Wish Grandpa's Never Died. It's triple platinum now. That was another solo write. I had wrote about my 2 granddaddies, and those kind of songs mean a little more because they're so personal. I think Worst Way I wrote more thinking from a touring country artist standpoint. I never thought I'd put out Wish Grandpa's Never Died. I just wrote it as a kind of tribute to them. And Worst Way, I was thinking, man, I don't have a lot of love songs, and I've got a song that I wrote several years ago called When She Comes Home Tonight that still streams well, and I still played at shows. So I thought I need to write something that's kind of like that, and it just blew up, So just goes to show, you never know.
I mean, there's a lot of making out in the video. The Worst Way it's a sexual record.
It's very forward, is what I would say, yeah. Video was kind of fun to make, though.
Yeah. By the way, and your mom is on the record saying it is her favorite, correct?
Well, she lives in a nice house. She drives, she got a new car last year for Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she likes my music.
But you said on Worst Way that it's like a love song. You don't often write love songs. So
I really don't. Yeah.
why not?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not married or don't have any kids or anything. Maybe I just haven't gone through that real phase of my life. But I tend to lean more into the like breakup, sad country songs. Has always been kind of what I loved growing up. So it's certainly something that I'm gonna have to lean into a little bit now. I think.
You are.
I had no idea you were a restaurateur. You have 2 bars in a restaurant.
I've never heard that before. Restaurateur. That sounds cool. I'm gonna start telling people I'm
That's
that.
a new label.
I mean, I think that's a real word, right, Kim?
It is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a bar, restaurant in Nashville. in the Midtown area. So it's not on Broadway where a lot of the artist-owned bars are. It's kind of in a little local hangout spot we call Midtown.
Sick.
There's a bar called Losers, and it was connected to a bar called Winners, and same owner. And we remodeled Winners and called it Riley Green's Duck Blind. And it's literally that room is where everybody I've met in town has come through and played at some point. Like I played writers rounds there. I've met every songwriter I've met in there. So it's kind of a full circle moment for me because I can go in there and watch, these kids that are up and coming go play and maybe get a break kind of the same way I did.
Why is like it a rite of passage for people to own a restaurant, to own a bar in Nashville? Can you explain that to me?
Well, in the sense that LA is kind of the acting hub, you don't really have that for any other genre but country. You got
Sure.
Nashville, Tennessee. So you've got that place where people are going to see, potentially their favorite country music artist. And Broadway is that thing, it's the Broadway of Nashville. And so you got all these artist-owned bars. People think they might run into their celebrity, their favorite singer or whatever. And I go to my bar all the time. I eat breakfast in there every morning when I'm home. And, people come in there and they'll say they're from Ireland or whatever, and I get a picture and they come in to see maybe if I'm in there hanging out. So it's a pretty cool thing. And it's very validating in a weird way because it has become like a rite of passage to have a bar in Nashville.
It is huge.
Yeah.
And you don't just have one, you have two.
Right?
I
don't know. No, I've only got one.
No. Wait, what?
It's like, I didn't know I had two.
Like if I got two, I hope it's the other one's doing
Wait, do you have
well.
a restaurant too or no?
Well, it's a bar and restaurant.
Understood.
Duck Blind. Well, here's the confusion. I got you. The bar is called Riley Green's Duck Blind. The restaurant is in there. It's called Riley's Barbecue Shack.
Okay,
And
got
it's
it.
inside the Duck Blind, and it serves the Losers and the Duck Blind. It's
Yeah. You have Duck Blind and Loser
you're
Bar.
just gonna have to come see it.
Yeah, I'm
That's
down.
all it is.
I haven't been to Nashville. I go a couple times a year. It is a nice place.
Yeah.
It is a nice place.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
down on Broadway it can get a little touristy, but
It is fun though. I
there's
really
a lot going on.
To your point though, there's no city solely dedicated to music like that.
Yeah.
And that's cool to see. I think there's a lot of other music cities that exist in the world.
No doubt.
Obviously, Memphis, Atlanta,
Yeah, a lot of
New
cities
York.
with music history for sure. Yeah.
Totally. But Nashville too. But Nashville has really made itself a destination.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see. By the way, you got to listen to All Riley's music. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. There's a link below. It's there, all in country heat. What are you thinking?
Well, Riley, you did make headlines the other day, not by choice, but someone threw some Spanx on stage.
That's what those were.
And
Spanx.
you were a little confused.
I was looking for the term.
Yeah.
Some kind of bodysuit scenario.
What were your thoughts when that first came up on stage? Because people do throw bras at you sometimes.
Yeah. We did a Windy City Smokeout in Chicago the other day, and I had a little viral moment because I picked up was a sticky that just covers your.
Oh, little chicken cutlet things, they call them, I think.
Well, somebody sweated one off. It was pretty hot that day, I think. And,
Oh,
there's a lot of strange stuff that gets thrown on stage, but that was
pasty? Pasty or
yeah.
chicken?
There you go. Yeah.
thanks, Kim.
Yeah, correct term. But yeah, I'd never seen whatever kind of Spanx that thing was. That was pretty unique.
Is it true that you never had been on a plane until 2018?
Yeah.
Wow. You just drove everywhere, or what?
Yeah, I just drove everywhere.
What's
Yeah,
the
I
furthest-
like my truck. I just if I was playing shows, I drove to it, and I was playing within 5 or 6 hours usually. Now I did go like hunt up in the Midwest, and like I remember driving to Wisconsin one time. That was about 16 hours.
Wow.
But yeah, I've always kind of liked driving. Never really bothered me.
What was it like getting on a plane for the first time?
It's pretty scary. It's one of those things where you get up high enough that it doesn't feel real. It's hard to be real scared,
Right?
I would rather be on a plane than on a roof of a house framing in Alabama. That was what I really didn't like.
See, it's interesting. Like as a kid, it's like the concept of a plane and doing it is different. But as an adult, I feel like I'd receive it differently. Like I'd be more aware. I'd be way more afraid. I'd be more
That
cognizant.
makes sense, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, I certainly didn't fly as a kid. Yeah, I was in my late 20s, I guess. I don't know. I can't really remember. I'm sure I was nervous, but it's amazing how quickly you get used to it,
Yeah, now all you do is fly.
Yeah.
Your life has really changed just in 6 years, 7
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, I went from, it's crazy. I built the house the last house I built was mine in Alabama, and it was kind of like my dream house. It was more than I could afford at the time. Like I worked for an electrician for 3 or 4 months and didn't let him pay me, and we wired the house together, so I saved money there. I played the plumber's daughter's 16th birthday party, so I got him to plumb it for me. And that's how I worked building a really nice house. And then I signed a record deal the week after it got finished. So like my mom was sending me pictures of furniture getting delivered, and I didn't get to live in it. You know, I mean, I have never lived in it. 2020 happened, and I went back home, and my parents moved in it. So my parents live in that really nice house up on the hill, and I built a little barn out on my property. And when I go home, I stay in the barn.
How cool is that to have the ability and skill to just build something on your own? That's crazy.
It's definitely useful. You know, I mean, it's something that I'm glad I was able to learn how to do. Now I think I judge my success by how much I forget about it. You know, I would love to not be able to read a tape measure anymore. Then I'd know I'd made it in country music. You know, I forget all that. But it's, I think I got a lot of accountability, work ethic from doing that growing up. My dad and that generation, my granddaddy too, they measured themselves on how much they could accomplish in a day. You know, my dad would jokingly say he toted 200 and something pieces of plywood that day, or sawed. You know, he would joke about how far he used his handsaw in miles. I sawed from here to Anniston and back today. You know, like that was what those guys did. So we'd ride around when I was a kid. And I remember him saying, "Hey, we built that house. We built the deck on this house. We did this." And I think that's something that you could carry into any career. You know, as far as like work ethic goes. My granddad used to say to always pick up the heavy end, and I know what he meant.
And today, how do you measure success?
How many people show up at the shows? I mean, we've got a lot of measures now. You got award shows and number one songs and gold and platinum records, streams and all that. For me, it's always going to be sold out shows. You know, if the venues keep getting bigger and people keep showing up, that's kind of what motivates me to keep playing.
Real. At what time is it too early to drink? Is it ever too early?
Well, what's the saying? You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. I don't know. It depends on where you're at. At the beach, there's no such thing. You can drink as early as you want at the beach.
It's an all-day event.
Yeah.
Turning dirt, wisdom from a farmer. Is that knowledge you applied in your own life, or you learned and gathered in your own life?
There's a ton of very true lyrics in that song. Riding on a tractor with my granddaddy, like on his lap.
Yeah.
I can remember riding on a bulldozer with him, and we didn't have a ton of big farmland where I lived. Northeast Alabama, we have the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains come down, so we've got mountains. They're not like, you know, Colorado mountains, but they're probably hills to them. So we don't have big farmland there, but I remember hearing that song and thinking that something about life in the Midwest and up, you know, Illinois, going hunting up in all those places, how much that thought probably means to them, you know, because where I, you know, grew up, kind of bonding with my granddaddy was on a lake fishing, or, you know, sitting around playing a guitar, or riding on a bulldozer with him, or working with my dad. That's what they did up there. So it was a little bit inspired by lifestyle up in that area of the country.
I have a question about You Look Like You Love Me. How were those talking verses like pitched to you, or how did that come about?
So Ella had, she was about to go on tour with me, I believe, and she had this song, and somebody played it for me. I don't know if she was planning on cutting it, but they were like, "What do you think about it?" I said, "Man, there's something catchy about that." I didn't think it was a hit because I thought talking verses were way too traditional to work. But I thought, well, it'd be cool to have a song that we could do together on the road. What if, you know, the second verse was kind of more of the first verse? So what if it was the guy's perspective in the second verse? So I just wrote a second verse for it, and we recorded it. And, you know, I thought it was fun. I thought it was something that kind of stayed in your head a little bit. But again, it just goes to show you, I don't know, because I had no idea it would be the big hit that it was.
So the 5 number ones, did you expect any of them to go number one? Or they kind of all take you by surprise?
Well, when I signed a record deal, the amount of excitement that the label had for There Was This Girl told me that it might could. And there is a little bit of like, that song sounds like a radio song. I always think about something that sounds like a hit to me as something that makes you want to roll the window down and turn it up. You're driving down the road on a nice day, and that song has that, whatever that thing is. But then there's also songs that I didn't think was going to be a big song. I Wish Grandpa's Never Died. I wrote as a tribute to my granddaddies, and to see the response to that song, you know, still, every night it's the biggest moment in my show. And it wasn't a number one at country radio. I think it peaked at 11, but it's triple platinum today.
Wow.
You know? So it's crazy. You measure it that way, and you want every song to go number one, but also what really matters is what fans think of it.
Yeah, and people feeling understood, and everyone can relate to losing a grandparent. Everyone.
Yeah.
Don't mind if I do. You got to listen to it. The album's waiting for you. There's a link below. It really is. It's a beautiful body of work. It's 23 songs. There's a deluxe in there, and the record with Ella Langley is beautiful. Really, I mean, you guys have collaborated a lot. You've collaborated with a lot of people more than once.
Yeah, well, I think that there's some collaborations that are done kind of in a lab, so to speak, where this manager reaches out to this manager and they go, hey, we need to get these two together. Everybody I've done a song with has been very organic. It's been like, hey, I'm out on tour with Luke Combs and I sent him a song called Different Around Here and he said, man, I love it. And we did it together, you know, and it's Thomas Rhett had never been duck hunting before and I took him and we ended up getting a song out of that together. And Ella was out on tour with me and we had You Look Like You Love Me happened. And then I wrote Don't Mind If I Do. And I was planning on getting somebody else just because I already had this big song with Ella. And I was at the studio recording it, and I texted her to see if she would come by and put a vocal on it just to make sure it was in the right key for a girl. When you write a duet by yourself, you don't really know, you know, where
Literally
it is
a
to live.
scratch vocal is what you were looking for.
Yeah, and she crushed it. Like, that was the vocal from that day.
Wow.
I think she was in her pajamas, you know. And I just knew as soon as I heard it, it was, you know, nobody's going to do better than that.
How motivating is that? Like, that's a beautiful thing. Like, to also have these relationships and it's cool.
Yeah, no, that's the best word for it. As a songwriter, what's going on with me in my career right now is more than anything, it's motivating. It makes you want to go write. And, you know, we got the deluxe out, but I can't wait to go sit down and write another 10 songs and already thinking about recording for the next album.
Oh, brother, appreciate your time and energy today. Really, thanks for hanging out.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Riley Green, everybody. Come on.
Appreciate it.